The data that we're going to work with in this chapter is what's known as IFC data. As you can see, if I go to my Project Explorer, when I imported this IFC model, it actually shows all the different parts or objects that are contained in an IFC model. So if we take a look at like this structure here and I select on it, you can see that it is an object. If I look at the properties, that it's a IFC building element, and I can basically use this to snap to measure to, but basically what I'm doing is I'm using it as a guide. If I look at some of those other features, like this is a beam, and then if you look here, there's actually a conduit that's in there. So we don't need to use all of this data for what we're doing, and the purpose of what we want to do is build a trench. We really want to get the box or the beam, and we want to convert that into a utility line using Trimble Business Center. And then the same thing, adding in the structure. And then from that, it will let us use the trench template manager to drop in a trench and create a trench surface. So you can see here that on this data, and the reason that we went with an IFC model is that that gives us the best data to work with. We could use a drawing file, we could use a DGN file or a DWG file, but those file types basically give us CAD elements, and those CAD elements don't necessarily work real well for what we want to do. So I found that the best option is to get the IFC model because we can do a little bit more with it. When you take a look at some of these objects and you look at the properties, you can see that you can show the wireframe or the vertices or the edges in either the 2D view or the 3D view. So if you take a look, you can see, I can see the beam, but if I take that beam and I turn off in 3D view the wireframe, then now I can actually see through the beam. So I can grab the edges of this beam and I can snap to these vertices. These little white dots here represent the vertices. So if I turn those off, you can see that those white dots go away. So I can display them or not display them. And sometimes it's handy to turn them on and or to hide them. So even if I was to take this building structure here and in 3D view show the wireframe, you can see that I can actually see through that structure. So you can see where the pipes and beams and conduits all kind of tie into it. So those are just some of the quick elements of the IFC model, but that's what you want to do. So what you want to get is the IFC model. You're going to start a new project in Business Center, and you're just going to drag and drop in that IFC model. Now, depending on the size of your project and the data, it may take a few seconds to import. So just be patient with it. Let it import, and it'll process, and you'll be able to move around and look at it in both 2D and in 3D. So in 2D view, you can see that you're looking at it from the top, and you're able to see the structures, in this particular case, the conduits and the vaults.